A continuación, en Poder 97.1, tu hora informativa. Entrevistas e información para nuestra comunidad. Y ahora con ustedes, Ida Pérez.
Buenos días, mi gente de Rochester, y bienvenido a su hora informativa. Mi nombre es Ida Pérez y para mí es un verdadero placer poder estar con ustedes en esta mañana. Su hora informativa es un programa que les trae información importante que esperamos que los inspire a una mejor calidad de vida para usted y su familia. Cubrimos información sobre los campos de salud, educación, empleo, vivienda y muchos otros temas más que nos afectan como persona y como pueblo. Su hora informativa está aquí todos los sábados de 10 a 11 de la mañana y nos alegramos muchísimo de que estén con nosotros aquí en el día de hoy. Hoy tengo una invitada muy especial, una persona que considero también mi amiga y que hemos hecho muchos proyectos juntos. I was just saying that I'm so pleased to have you today with me. I consider you my friend and that we've worked with in so many different projects, so it's a pleasure to have you here today. If you can just introduce yourself, tell us where you're originally from and how long have you been here in Rochester?
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ida. And I consider you my friend, too. You've been such a great mentor. So I'm excited to be here today. So my name is Tanya Burton. I am the Children's Services Consultant for the Monroe County Library System. And so what that means is really I have the best job in the world, and I get to support all of the children's services things that we do at all 32 of our libraries.
Nice.
And that means a lot of different things that we'll go into. So I came from Buffalo. I grew up in Buffalo, went to Buff State, moved to Memphis, Tennessee for a bit because I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And while I was there, I realized, no, I need to work in a library, which honestly I never thought about working in a library before. It was never a thing. And a few people in Memphis, I had some really great people who kept saying, no, you should do this. No. Why are you doing that? You need to do this. And so then family circumstances changed. We moved back to the Batavia area, actually, and I went to UB, got my degree in library science, and I live in Batavia, so that was, strategy, so I could work in either Rochester or Buffalo.
Right.
And my first job I got at Brighton Library, which I loved. It was wonderful. But then a job at the Central Library opened up, and I've been there for over 12 years now.
Wow.
And I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. And Tanya, where's your family originally from? What? Because, everybody, no one's originally from the United States. So
right.
Where did your family come from?
So what's really funny is I thought that my father's family was from Germany, and we recently found out that they're not. They're from Sweden.
Oh, okay.
So I have some.
How did you find that out?
I have a cousin who's in the military, and he was stationed in Germany, and he had gone to Sweden for just a holiday, because I guess that's what you do in Europe. I have no idea. And they said, "Oh, Burgum, you must be from here." That's my maiden name. And so he just started doing research and found out that that's where they were from. And my grandma's family's from Ireland.
Okay.
Straight from Ireland. And then on my mom's side, my grandparents were, my grandpa was from England and my grandma was from Poland.
Okay.
They moved to Canada. And then came to the Buffalo area.
Yeah. A lot of people from Europe tend to come through Canada first before they come into the United States. Yeah, I always like to ask that question because, it's first of all, it's cool to see where people actually come from, right, and how they ended up here in Rochester. And also to just show how much we do have in common, even though we may look and seem different, but we all have that in common, right, that we came from somewhere and we ended up here. And now we're here in Rochester doing great things. So I always like to ask that question. Thank you for answering that. So Tanya, I know you said you work with the early learning for children within the library. But what other things are you doing with the library besides that? I mean, I'm sure there's always other stuff happening with the library. So tell us a little bit about that.
It seems like every day it grows what we get to do, which is an amazing thing, I work a lot with early childhood, which I think we'll talk about later. But within the library, like most recently, we have Father Tracy Advocacy Center is working with us, which has been a great partnership and collaboration. Because we have so many people that come in who they come to the library because they feel that it's a safe place to ask whatever question they need to ask. And if they have something that they need, a lot of people feel like the library can help them answer whatever question. Yeah. And we try to, we don't know everything, but I was taught very early on, you don't have to know everything to work at the library, you just have to know how to find everything. And so when we had several families coming in over the last couple summers who were looking for everything from school supplies to clothes to food to housing, it's really hard to just like, well, I can't help you with any of that. Here's a great book and move on. Like, I can't do that. Yeah. So thankfully, I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people in our community and putting together this like beautiful puzzle of meeting everybody's needs. And so, I reached out to some people, and Beatrice LeBron, as amazing as she is, she was like, yeah, we would love to work with the library. And it's really, we're just getting started. We're figuring some things out, but it's been really great.
So when people come finding housing, is it because they're probably homeless and they find the library a safe place to spend a day and be warm? Is that safe to say? Or?
I think that's safe to say. Yeah. Either they're not staying in a shelter, or if they are staying in a shelter, they can't stay at the shelter during the day, so they need somewhere to go. And where else? We're a public library that's open to everyone. Yeah. So it's
when you first mentioned LeBron, and I know that she had mentioned at one point to me that she was doing some things for homeless people at the library. It kind of clicked. Like, man, I never really thought about that people would find the library as a safe place to go, whether it's running from homelessness or maybe domestic violence or so you guys probably see people of all walks of life and with all sorts of needs and things like that.
We do, and it's an honor really to be in a place where people trust you like that. I don't know how many other public institutions that we have where the public in general trust the library.
Yeah.
We're not political.
That is so true. That is so true. Like, it's really clicking in my head right now. Like,
yeah. So it's and I love all of the opportunities that I get. Many years ago when I got into libraries, I had no idea that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now. Right. And so, I want to make sure that if I do something, I do it with fidelity and to the best that I can. But also I think it's important to know that you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And there's a lot that I don't know. And I've experienced some things, in my past, as most of us have. But it's different for everyone, and at every point in time, things change and things are different. So having people, like the folks from Father Tracy come in, has really been helpful.
I've always had an appreciation for the library. I mean, I love literacy. At one point, I was the literacy specialist at ABC Head Start, which was the best and coolest job I've ever had because, my job was to support teachers in their classroom and anything that they needed, whether it was, classroom management or if they needed training in anything, lesson planning, that kind of thing. But I also was responsible for a pretty large resource center that we had when we were located at Austin Street. And so my job was to order tons and tons of books, to have available for teachers in case they needed something, on friendship or something on social emotional or, maybe something on diversity or whatever, whatever it was that they were planning to do. It was my job to have resources for them. And, I worked a lot with the library as well as WXXI to bring some of those resources into our center. But it just hit me now that, when you think about the library, it's beyond a book, right? It's beyond going and finding information, but that you're really doing some incredible human resources and human services, for the community as a whole, because you never know who's going to walk in and what else do they need other than a book, right?
Right. And it, we serve everyone. We do have people who come in who have literally just escaped a domestic violence situation, and knowing how to handle that is, sometimes it's just we do the best that we can do. But also, we have people who they just want to make sure that their kids have what they need so they're ready for kindergarten, so that they're ready for school. And, we try to find different ways that we can support all the different learning needs that there are, without also with kind of staying in our lane, knowing we're not teachers. Like
Right.
we can't teach kids how to
Right.
read, but what we teach is the love of the book.
Right.
Because we know the research shows that if kids love reading before they learn to start, that when it gets hard, and it does get hard, learning to read isn't easy, they will power through because they love it. They have that intrinsic value.
Yeah, absolutely. But I just said all of that to say that I have a higher appreciation for the work that you guys do, because it's beyond just giving people books in their hands, right? So today's kind of like an exciting day for you guys. What's going on? Tell us.
So finally, the Maplewood branch is closed as of today. Today's the first day that it's closed, and that sounds horrible. And it will be, it's not great for a little bit, but it means that we're getting a renovation. The Maplewood Library is so loved in the community and so well used. Yeah. So the renovation is going to provide for a secure outdoor play space, which is great in that neighborhood. Nice. A new parking lot, which we love. And there'll be separate spaces for classes and tutoring, a new community room, updated restrooms.
Wow.
And so it's going to add 2,666 square feet to that library.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's pretty awesome.
Our library administrators have worked really hard, and our boards and our foundation in the city have worked really hard to make this happen.
And
so
I see that you guys kind of have done that through section, because I know the Lincoln Library also had an uplift, and the facade looks very different of it. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how does that happen, right? And what does it entail, to go from library to library, kind of saying, okay, this is what we need in these libraries based on the people that we serve in this community.
So several years ago, and I believe it was 2018, the library did a study of all of the branches and talked to the community members and looked at all of the spaces, because our libraries are all really old. The buildings, they all need uplifts. And so just looking through what each library needed and, just figuring out in what steps it can be done. I mean, it would be great to have them all done all at once.
Right, but you can't.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah. So Lincoln Library was done first. As you said, it reopened, I want to say in August or September of last year.
Yeah.
And that's been if you haven't been there, you should please go there. And if you had been there before it reopened and haven't been there since, you will think you're in a different building.
Uh-huh.
I thought for sure they added space. They didn't, but they did a really great job reimagining and redoing that space. And now there is a safe play place for kids. It used to be that the toy library was only available certain hours. Now it's available the entire time the Lincoln Library is open. Yeah.
That is very nice.
That is great. So
yeah. I love the facade of it, like the bike racks and I mean, it just gives it such a nice and welcoming sense there now.
Yeah. One of the things that we had heard was, and people didn't know that it was a library because of the signage. There wasn't a sign on it, and people didn't really know what was there. So
I haven't been there for a while, so I'm gonna have to stop by now that I have a little more time. Just go in there and check it out, because I haven't seen it since I saw it before, but I haven't seen it since it's been remodeled. So I definitely need to check it out.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. How many libraries are in the city, and can you use the same library card at any of them? Yeah,
so there's 11 libraries in the city. There's the Central Library, which is the central library for the whole county, and then 10 branches. Okay. And you can get a library card at any of the libraries and use them at any of the 32 locations throughout the county. So not just in the city, but anywhere. You can check out books from Central Library, return them at Lincoln Library, or not Maplewood this summer, but when it reopens, at any of the libraries.
Oh, okay. So you can pretty much go anywhere.
You can.
And what about, like, if people, because we were talking about this a little earlier, what about if people owe books? Haven't been for a while because they're afraid that, is there a forgiving...
So can
they be grandfathered in or something?
As of last year, there are no more late fees on any materials.
Oh, okay.
So if someone had checked something out and they returned it and they just had late fees, those were wiped clean. If they check something out and they didn't return it and they have it, they should bring it back.
Okay.
And, just let the people know.
Okay.
See what they can work out. There's always, we want people to use the library.
Right.
It's not supposed to be a punitive place.
Right.
And life happens. Life gets busy.
Yeah.
I mean, if my library always lasts because I'm never on time with anything because things happen.
Yeah.
So just if you have the stuff, bring it back. If you don't, come back and, let us know what your situation was. There are things beyond our control.
Yeah.
I know years ago when they started doing the no late fees for kids, there was a couple questions that I got from people that like, well, isn't this gonna, stop kids from being responsible? No, kids can't drive themselves to the library anyway.
Yeah,
right.
right.
No, that's ridiculous.
Right.
It's
not their responsibility.
It's not their responsibility. No.
Yeah.
And there are other ways that we help kids be responsible with books.
Right.
And we just
don't tear them. Don't break them.
Don't break them. Don't use them in the bathtub.
Don't write on them.
Yes, don't write on them. Don't eat with them.
Right.
But we want people to come back. And, if something happened, you moved and you lost the books or you left it on the bus or, if you keep losing things,
right.
Maybe not, but we really want people to come in and check things out of the library. And we're doing whatever we can to help people do that.
So if someone hasn't been to the library in a while because maybe, whatever happened, they can go back and get a new library card. Bring your kids with. How young can a child have a library card? Like, how young do they have to be?
It is up to the guardian.
Oh, okay.
Or the parents or guardians to decide. Some people want their babies to get library cards, and we do have a card for kids 0 to 5. It's a cute little yellow card with some characters. They can check out up to 5 items at a time. And then when they get into kindergarten, then they get the regular blue card and it's unlimited.
Right.
But it's really up to the adults in the house to decide when they want their kids to get a library card. Yeah. Some people, like I said, like it right away. Some people want to wait so the kids can remember getting their first library card because we try to make it a big deal.
Yeah.
We take pictures, absolutely. We give a certificate. So,
I remember when my granddaughter got her first library card, it was like a big deal for us. Like we were so excited for her and she was excited, obviously. And we kind of made it like a whole family event, that day we went with her. She got her library card, whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then we kind of spend half a day at the library just looking at books and things like that. So definitely something that if you haven't thought about yet and you got little ones, you can definitely make that an eventual thing to do with your child and family, if they haven't gotten a library card yet. And I think having kids at a younger age, getting a library card, kind of really starts that responsibility. Okay, now you have a card. Now you have permission to get out books. It's also, we also have to remember to take them back, and we have to take care of the books because that's to me, that's more important than anything else. Because if you return it late, but it's still in good condition, then you're good, right?
Right, absolutely.
But if it's torn up and written, or the dog chewed on it or whatever, then that's not too good. Yeah. But I think it's a really good way to start showing children a little bit of responsibility, and this is how we use the library card. I remember, not so much now, but a couple of years ago, where people just didn't talk about library cards. Like, I didn't even think about getting my child a library card. And I think it's when we started with Summer Leap that they really pushed about kids getting a library card. We had a lot of families that said, I never even thought about getting a library card for my child. Like, it's something that they didn't even think about. So definitely things that people should be considering.
Yeah, and I think it's different in the library now than it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the library that I went to anyway was not very welcoming. And really, we want kids to be there. We want them to have fun, and we want them to see reading and see the library as a place where they can come and be themselves and explore and just enjoy books.
Yeah. I also think it's a good way to show children some of the social expectations, right? You know, how you take your child to the restaurant, you expect your child to sit at the table and, you know, not play with their utensils and things like that, or have a tantrum in the middle of dinner or whatever. But, you know, taking your child to the library also shows them a different type of social expectation. You know, we're quiet in the library, you know, we have to use our inside voices. You know, there's tons of books and we got to put them back where we got them from. And, you know, we have to be respectful of the other people that are here studying. So it's a really good way to show kids these social norms, right, that they wouldn't normally experience if they're not in that type of environment.
Right. And I think it's great for before kids go to school, understanding like, okay, I'm in a public space, and not just about the books, but, you know, and especially at our Central Library and Lincoln Library and some of our other libraries, we have play spaces too, you know, so learning that these toys are for everyone, these books are for everyone, and I want to respect them and take care of them.
Yeah. And share them.
Share them, yes, which is hard. But also that cleaning up and respecting the property of other institutions is also really important for kids to learn too. And cleanup time is part of playtime.
Right.
So for kids who aren't in a childcare setting, sometimes the library is the only place where they get that.
Right.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Now, I know that, you know, school is going to be out soon. You know, kids are going to be out there, I don't know, doing I don't know what, right? Some may be going to summer programming and some are not. What are some of the important things for parents to remember when it comes to the library in summer?
So all of our libraries have a whole slate of programs. Pretty much every day this summer, you'll be able to find something from the time school gets out till probably the middle of August, and even to the end of August for some of our libraries. One of the things that I am like really excited about, and it's not happening at the Central Library, but it's happening at some of our branches, is Writers and Books goes to the Arnett, Lincoln, Wheatley, and Sully Library, and they do free camps. And I know one of my kiddos went to Writers and Books and did a summer camp there, and you know he has recently graduated with a degree in writing, and hopefully someday he'll be a famous rich author, so mom can retire. But but for him, it really, you know, like there's sports camps and there's all different kinds of camps. But Writers and Books offers a camp for kids who really enjoy books, who want to create things, who love poetry. And to have it be tuition free is really amazing. It's really a great program. So it's a 1 week camp at the different libraries that kids can go to, and really just have a great time and learn and find their people. Find other kids who like the things that they like. So
absolutely.
And then we have some drop-in programs too. We do a lot of drop-in programs at our libraries. We have story times. We'll be doing story times at Highland Park, hopefully some other parks. And, you know, so that's really fun to expose kids to different kinds of books and songs and finger plays. And, to do those in different environments. And even just to come and be, if it's a really hot day, most of our libraries hopefully have air conditioning, and the air conditioning's working on the hot days. You know, but sometimes you just need a place to go. And for kids who aren't in a camp for you know whatever reasons, or you know, the library's a great place to go and have fun. We have our summer reading program, which we do every year, and that is to encourage kids to read every day in the summer. And we know that kids who read throughout the summer, it helps avoid that summer slide. You know, that we hear
summer loss.
That we hear a lot about. So, you know, kids can read whatever they want. We can make recommendations if people want, but it's really great when kids can come and just choose whatever they want to read. We don't ask them, is that on your reading level? We don't do any of that because summer's about fun. And, you know, if you want to read the same book several times,
that's okay.
That's awesome. You know, that there's actually, you know, research that shows that's helpful.
That's
for
helpful. Absolutely.
Emotional, for brain development. And so, you know, there's a book for every kiddo, you know, and I love it when the kids come in and say, I hate reading. All right, come on, let's go. You know? And also I think it's, you know, we like to tell kids too, if you find a book that you don't like, life is too short to read a book you don't like.
Right.
And there's
Find one that you do.
Find one you do. We have thousands of books that kids can come in and check out.
Yeah. I want to go back and emphasize a little bit about the summer loss because that's real.
Yes.
Like summer loss is real, and summer loss is real for every kid. You know, every kid that does not get fully engaged in some way or another. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, okay, now you need to sit down and you need to do, you know, there's this many math problems, or you have to read these many books or whatever. You know, it's not necessarily about that, but just an experience, right? Let's say you do decide, okay, every week we're going to go to the library and we're going to check out, you know, 2 to 3 books that we're going to read throughout the week. And, you know, maybe we'll pick out of those books some words that you didn't know, right? Words that are new to you. Let's find the definition of those words. So it doesn't have to be something that's like really strict and, you know, kind of, you know, demanding. No. But it's important. Like it's really, really important to have some summer enrichment of some sort. You know, it could be going to the library. It could be going to the museum. It could be, you know, all these other things that can happen during the summer. Kids really need that because summer loss is real. You know, all kids tend to lose something during the summer. And it doesn't matter how much they learn throughout the school year. If they don't have that type of engagement in the summer, they're going to lose it. And so they're not going to be ready for the next grade level when they get to school that September.
Right.
So, you know, I kind of want to share that. And I would like for you to emphasize a little bit more on that because summer loss is real. It's real stuff. It really happens. Every kid experiences it. You know, that's why we try to have as many summer programs as we can in our communities. And especially for those kids that are already falling behind, you know, we want them not to lose whatever little bit they've learned. We want them to maintain that so that they're ready for the next grade. So if you can just talk a little bit about that as well.
So if kids aren't engaged in something over the summer, they could lose up to 2 months of learning, which is that's huge.
That's a lot.
And they work so hard during the school year, and the parents work so hard for them. And we want to support them over the summer in fun, playful ways too. Yeah. Like you said, it doesn't have to be like, okay, we're going to sit down and do flashcards. No, please, no.
Don't do that.
No. But just not in front of screens all the time, and you know, just having them learn about something new in whatever way is fun for your family. You know, I mean, you could do science with cooking. You know, like have kids, you know, maybe a family meal, you make something together, you know, once a week or something, or hey, let's see what's going on in the world, which, you know, you want to look at what you're going to show your kids first, because that can be a little scary. But just talking about things, talking about, you know, looking at books, and hey, like we just read a book about, I just read a book about Pakistan. Let's learn about, where is Pakistan?
Yeah, where is it on the map?
Where, like, how has this country always been here? Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, and I mean, you know, knowing where your kids are at and what they're interested in. If they love building, come to a Lego program, you know, or I love doing things with recycled materials. So what is your recycle bin? What can you make with that?
Right, exactly.
You know, one of my...
If you're planting, let's talk about gardening and how does that work and what different types of plants are out there. And, you know, it's always interesting to find out which ones are poisonous and we shouldn't have around our pets and young children and things like that. Yeah.
Really just talking your way through the day.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Talking with your kids and any age. So the moment your child is born, honestly, even before they're born, start talking to your kids. Just, you know, talking about, oh, look at the blue sky today, or oh, it's a little cloudy today. You know, through everything. Talk, sing, read, and play with your kids every day. That's the best thing that you can do. You know, you don't have to have a lot of materials. You know, you don't have to
spend a lot of money.
You don't have to be a teacher. You know, parents are their child's first teacher, and they know their kids better than anybody, and don't let anybody tell you differently. You know what your kids love. You know what they like. And, at the library, we're here to help you. If your kids show an interest in something that you don't know anything about, that can be scary for me anyway. We can help you find books that can help you learn together. Like that's really exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So. And, also that sense of wonder, right? If nothing else, ask, I wonder why that is, right? Yeah. I wonder, like, I know during this time of the year, there's always these interesting bugs that are always around the tree that I have in front of my house. So I've always wondered, why is it that I see these bugs only around this time? I mean, that would be a perfect, thing of, I wonder where these bugs come from and, why are they here? And why is it that this tree attracts them more than others? And, and then go from there. Yeah. Let's go to the library. Let's check this out. Let's see what kind of tree this is,
So that leads perfectly into one of the things that we have at the library we have these nature backpacks. So if your kids are into bugs or flowers, you can come and we have, there's like little bug containers that you can get and little binoculars so you can look closely at bugs and insects. And, we have nature guides in the backpacks. Yeah. Maybe you want to go to a park. There's so many beautiful parks around us. And so we have backpacks designed specifically for some different parks.
And you could check them out.
And you can check them out, take them home, play with them at the park. There's Durand Eastman, there's Highland Park, there's Maplewood Rose Garden. There's a whole rose scavenger hunt that you can do.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and there's one for Hamlin Beach, which there is a cost to get in Hamlin Beach, but in that bag we have an Empire Pass, so you can actually get into any state park for free with our Empire Pass.
Look at that. Wow. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we have a whole VIP pass program, it's called. So you had mentioned like going to museums and things. It's not always accessible for all of us to take our kids. Yeah. But we do have museum passes that you can check out and it'll give you a discount or maybe a buy one, get one to go to all the different museums.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I shouldn't say all the museums, many of the museums in our area. But even through our summer reading program, if kids do the summer reading program, every time they come in and check in to tell us how much they read, or they come to a program, they're entered to win passes. And we have some very generous donors. So we have passes to Strong Museum, Seneca Park Zoo, Rochester Museum and Science Center, and Seabreeze.
Nice. Yeah. For the summer reading program, is that something people have to sign up for? Like, is there a registration that people have to do for that?
There is, starting June 24th, and they can go to any public library in the city to sign up for that. And it's the same summer reading game board at each of our 11 libraries in the city. So maybe you go and you register at the Lincoln Library, but you come to a program at the Central Library. So you'll be entered at the Lincoln Library for their prizes, and then you'll be entered at the Central Library. So really, if you visit all the libraries, you can have the chance to get some great prizes.
Yeah. So now, what are the times for the reading program for the summer?
It's June 24th, and I want to say, sorry, I should know that date. The second week in August, it ends.
And the time you can go anytime that the library's open.
Anytime the library's open
during the operation hours of the library.
And all of our hours and locations are on the website, which is rockcitylibrary.org.
Cool.
And from there, you can find out about the VIP passes, the Empire Pass, all of our great programs, and all of the different services that we have. So even for adults, if you're looking for some ESL classes or resume classes, each library is so unique to what we all serve. Yeah. And each individual branch tries to really serve the needs in their community. But that doesn't mean you can't go to a different library if they have what you want.
Okay. Everyone knows, the library has books, but what are some of the other things that people may be able to get there that they may not be aware of?
Yeah. So we talked about the nature backpacks. We talked about the Empire passes, the VIP passes and Empire passes. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is that our Lincoln Library has a huge collection of toys that can be checked out. So let's say you're having a family reunion at a picnic and you have little ones. You can go and check out like a baby gate. You can check out, Lego of all different sizes. You can check out board games, dolls, so many things. I mean, so you can go there and you can play with your kids and just leave it there, or you can check out things and bring them home as well.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could. I knew that they had the toy library and you can go there and play. I didn't know you could actually check them out.
Yeah, that is, I think, the most unknown thing in Rochester. So please tell a friend and tell your friend to tell a friend.
And I think that even the toy library itself is a hidden treasure, because a lot of people don't know about that and the amount of stuff that you guys have that are really cool.
Yeah, and it's also a great place too, for families who maybe if your kids are receiving early intervention services. I know one of my kiddos received early intervention, and it's not always comfortable having them come into your house, or maybe you just want to explore a different place. But the toy library is a great place for early intervention services to meet, because you can go and use all of the toys in that space. So it's good for providers and it's good for the families too. It's a great place for summer camps to take kids on field trips.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking if you have like a really small apartment and you just don't have a lot of space to have a lot of toys or a toy. I know my girls were probably a little privileged when it came to that, because we always had an extra room where we put all their toys in, and it was literally their toy room. But some people don't have that, right? Some people live in small apartments or in a studio where they don't have a lot of they can't have a lot of toys because they just don't have the room. That's a cool way to take your child and be able to play with toys without having to buy them and without having to store them.
Right. Well, and even, kids like toys, they might like a toy today, and next week they don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it. Yeah,
so
that's absolutely true.
It's really, it's a financially sustainable way to get your kids toys.
Right.
And also it's good for the environment because you're not buying more stuff and putting it in landfills. Like we already have the stuff.
Exactly. Now, how does the toy library get replenished? Like, how does, do people donate? Is it a grant that you guys have? Like, how does that work?
Lots of different ways. Okay. It is part of the library, so it is part of, there is a piece of the regular operating budget that goes to it. But we do the Friends and Foundation of the Rochester Public Library also help us get grants and donors. There are, lots of people who have a special place in their heart for serving kids and, will make donations, financial donations to the toy library. Sometimes people will donate toys. We do. And we do accept it if they're like new. And, if it's something, all the pieces are there, it's clean,
right.
Maybe you bought it and, your
you never used it or whatever. So
it's also a great resource too for grandparents or aunts or uncles if they have kids coming to visit them for the summer and they don't have toys.
Right. Yeah.
There you go. You can get toys from there.
Pretty cool.
So,
What about people that can't make it to the library? How can they access the library?
So we do have a lot of online sources, and for kids, we have this great database. It's LOTE for Kids, and it offers picture books in over 60 different languages. Many of them are bilingual, which is amazing because we don't have the resources to have that amount of languages in physical books in the library. So this is one way that we can make sure that families who English isn't their first language have access to beautiful picture books with their kids that they can share with them. And then also we have our Libby app, which is a downloadable app to access our audiobooks and ebooks. And anybody can do that, but we have lots of great kids books that you can get on the Libby app. And that's the equivalent to Sora. So if your kids are in the Rochester City School District, they know Sora. Sora and Libby are the same thing, same company, just different names. And you can access Libby through the Sora account if they know how to get that. And then we also have Hoopla, which is another app that you can download using your library card number. And you can get movies and magazines and music, and it's music without any
interruptions. Interruptions. Which is cool.
It's great. Yeah. And it's free, which is even better. So you can download music for 1 week. Movies, TV shows, if you want to binge on something, you can use that. So, and you can use it wherever you are. If you're, traveling somewhere, you still have access to it because it's all electronic.
Tanya, I want to pause right here for a minute. I want to go back and translate some of the stuff that we've shared so far, just for our, Spanish-speaking families that may be listening. Obviamente estoy hablando con Tanya Barton. Ella es de la biblioteca de aquí del condado de Monroe. Y nos ha estado hablando de un poquito de todas las actividades que ellos tienen disponibles en la biblioteca para las personas. Cuando empezamos la conversación, empezamos hablando de las personas que van a la biblioteca, ¿verdad? Y una de las cosas que ella compartió es que muchas personas van, sí, buscando un libro, buscando información, pero otras personas van buscando auxilio en las bibliotecas, que resulta ser, y nunca se me había ocurrido de esta manera, pero las bibliotecas que nosotros tenemos aquí en nuestra ciudad resulta ser para muchas personas un sitio de auxilio, un sitio donde ellos pueden ir, que van a estar seguros, muchas veces huyéndole, ¿verdad?, al hecho de que no tienen un sitio donde vivir, o quizás están en un shelter, lo que llamamos un shelter, y van ahí para poder estar fuera del shelter, porque no pueden estar ahí todo el día. Ella ha hecho mucha colaboración con personas en la comunidad, especialmente con el Father Tracy Advocacy Center, donde ellos pueden ir y proveer información y recursos a esas personas que quizás están buscando un sitio donde vivir, al igual que esas personas que quizás están huyéndole a la violencia doméstica. O sea que la biblioteca se ha convertido en algo más allá de simplemente proveerle libros e información a las personas, sino que también están ayudando y tratando lo más que ellos puedan de proveer esos servicios humanos que a veces son necesarios para personas que van a la biblioteca. También hablamos un poquito de las personas que quizás han tenido una tarjeta de la biblioteca y que quizás deben un libro, que no han entregado algo en hace tiempo. Ellos dicen que por favor no deje que eso los detenga de ir a la biblioteca. Si tienen un libro que quizás no han entregado en mucho tiempo y todavía lo tienen, lo pueden ir a entregar. Ya no hay esas tarifas que se le cobraban a las personas si debían un libro. Y la razón por la cual es porque quieren que las personas, ¿verdad?, usen la biblioteca lo más que puedan. Y si debían dinero, pues no quieren que dejen de ir porque debían dinero. Ya no hay un costo para libros que son entregados tarde ni nada de eso. Pero si tienes algún libro en tu casa, ¿verdad?, que no has entregado, que se te olvidó, porque la vida pasa, ¿verdad?, y se nos olvida, aún puedes ir a entregar el libro y no tienes que pagar ninguna tarifa por haberlo entregado tarde. Y también ella anima a todas personas que tienen niños pequeños que saquen la tarjeta de biblioteca para sus niños, para que así podemos ir enseñándole, ¿verdad?, la responsabilidad de coger libros prestados, de entregarlos, pero más importante, ¿verdad?, tener ese amor y esa dedicación a los libros, que es tan importante especialmente para los niños. Otra cosa que hablamos fue de los programas de verano. Ellos tienen varios diferentes programas de verano, especialmente uno para los niños de lectura. Los niños se pueden apuntar. Eso empieza ahora en junio 24 y corre hasta agosto. Todo niño que participe tienen derechos a ganarse ciertos premios y ciertas cosas si participan. Pueden buscar eso en el website de ellos, que es rockcitylibrary.org. Pueden ir ahí y buscar toda esa información para los diferentes programas. También hablamos de una biblioteca de juguetes, que uno puede ir y buscar diferentes tipos de juguetes para los niños, especialmente para esas personas que quizás no tengan recursos para comprarle juguetes a sus niños, o quizás viven en un sitio donde no tienen mucho espacio para guardar juguetes, o que su niño juega con algo una semana y ya la otra semana no está interesado. En vez de gastar mucho dinero en juguetes, pueden ir y coger estos juguetes prestados. Otro programa que ellos tienen es para esos niños que quizás les gusta la naturaleza, que quieren aprender sobre los pajaritos y los diferentes insectos y ese tipo de cosas. Ellos tienen unos paquetes que uno puede coger prestado, y ahí dentro tienen las cositas para coger los pajaritos. Tienen binoculares que pueden mirar, y tienen los lentes de magnitud para mirar a los diferentes insectos, y tienen unos para cada uno de los diferentes parques que tienen diferentes cosas que los niños pueden ver. So, pensé que eso era bien interesante, pero no sabía que podían hacer eso. Otra cosa es que si una persona no puede ir a la biblioteca y quiere acceso a la biblioteca, ellos tienen muchos programas online que pueden ir a su computadora o su teléfono y ahí pueden coger libros prestados, al igual que películas y música. O sea que tienen una variedad de cosas que las personas pueden utilizar en la biblioteca. So, espero que, ¿verdad? Si no han visitado una biblioteca últimamente, procuren ir a una de ellas. Ella sí mencionó que la de Maplewood va a estar cerrada este verano porque la están remodelando y ya pronto va a volver a abrir. Sé que la de nosotros aquí, cerca de aquí de la Clinton, de la Lincoln Library, también fue remodelada. So, si no han entrado ahí últimamente, vayan y visiten para que vean la diferencia y para que vean todos los recursos que hay ahí disponibles. You know, I want to talk a little bit differently about the library because I remember a couple years ago, like in 2017, 16, around there, maybe a little before that, you know, we were planning a vision plan for our community. And really was just looking at all of our area around here, like from Upper Falls to maybe like Avenue D, from Clinton to St. Paul, you know, the different architecture and just the landscape, right? And one of the things that we did was we were able to go to the library and look at old pictures of Rochester, right? And compare them to how they look today, and then kind of have like a vision of what we wanted our community to look for in the future. And I know that Ibero Development, along with, I think, Genesee Land Trust and a few others, you know, we're looking to look at that plan again because it's been a couple of years since we created that plan, to kind of look at it again and say, okay, what things have we accomplished and what things do we still need to work with? So maybe if you could share just a little bit about how the library is used in that way, just to go and look for the history of Rochester or of Monroe County, or, you know, the different architectures. And because we have a lot of beautiful buildings with beautiful facades, you know, with beautiful architecture. Like, how do people use the library like that other than us?
So, yeah, our local history department is phenomenal. So they are the experts. If you want to know anything about the history of Rochester, they can help you with that. Whether, like you said, it's the architecture, or, you know, politics, laws, and anything that's happened, news stories. You know, most recently we had that big eclipse, you know, and they helped Rochester Museum and Science Center find all the information for eclipse over time. So really, anything that's happened, they have it there in the local history section. They could also help you find your genealogy too, though. You know, if you want to know the history of your family, they can help you with that. They do amazing walking tours also, which I haven't been able to be a part of any because I'm usually working, but I hear they're fantastic.
Oh, okay.
So, so they do a lot of work with all different types of organizations and people, and so.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool because when we got there, they were ready for us. They had all this stuff out on some tables that we can look at, and it, you know, was really interesting to see what our area looked like, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, and then what it looked like now, and what vision did we have, you know, for it to look in the future. And we've done a lot of the things that we had on the vision plan, you know, including the International Plaza, the Resource Center here that Ibero has, that was part of our plan back then, and we've accomplished that. You know, we just recently added some things to the El Camino Trail that I want you to talk about that as well. But, you know, it's really cool how the library can really help you with those things. And I know that when I was working with the Puerto Rican Festival, we went there a couple of times to get, you know, some information and some newspaper articles and things about the festivals back when it started, you know, over 50 years ago. So it was really kind of cool to be able to go to one place and find all the information that you needed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough great things about our local history folks. I mean, they are really the experts on it.
Yeah.
If you show up and want it right then and there, that it might not work.
Right.
The more you want, the more lead time they need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I recommend either emailing or calling them and saying like, hey, this is what I want. And, I'm sure they will give you more information than, you even realized, there was. So they do, a lot of great things like that. And then like with El Camino, with the park, and I'm assuming you're talking about the story walk that just opened.
Yes, tell us about that, because I know you were just as excited as I was about it.
I was super excited about it. I mean, I didn't have really anything to do with it. I think I might have sent a link, but I know Rosa Diaz at our Lincoln Library worked, with them, so Story Walk is a trademark thing. And so that was the only thing that I could help them with was how you go about getting an official story walk.
Right.
But they did an amazing job with getting the fixtures and putting them in place. And so what a story walk is, if anybody doesn't know, is it's basically we take a couple of a children's book, we choose a title, and then you buy a couple copies of it. And then you rip it apart. Yes, you rip the book and laminate the pages just so they're sturdy. And then you just set them out, page 1, page 2, page 3. So families, anyone can just go and walk the story walk and read page by page. Yeah. So it's a way of sharing one book in nature in a beautiful way. Sometimes there's different activities that go with the story walks. We've done story walks at different parks and things, and we incorporate questions in with them. There's a lot of different things
or
that you can do. Different
afterwards.
activities.
Yeah. I was really excited about that. So if people haven't checked it out yet, make sure you come through El Camino Trail. Starts at the Conkey Corner end of it, and it goes all the way down. I don't know how many more down, because I know it's like 30 something,
32
up to 32 pages of
so,
a book. So really
great.
cool. And kudos to the Latino Rotary Club for finding the funding for that and making that as part of one of their projects with their literacy committee. But I thought it was really, really cool. And the book will be changed every 2 to 3 months. So there will always be something different that you can go and look at.
And it's bilingual, which is amazing.
Bilingual, which is amazing. Yeah. So Tanya, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you do with some of the community-based organizations when it comes to literacy. And I know that you've worked very closely with us for a couple of years now with Raising a Reader, which I think it's an amazing program. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So I'm happy to talk about Raising a Reader all day. So Raising a Reader is, this is where my heart is for sure. Raising a Reader is a national early literacy program that involves parent engagement. And the library system became an affiliate of Raising a Reader, I think 12 years ago. And it just keeps growing. And thankfully, thanks to some very amazing people, we're going to have full funding in the next budget as long as the budget is passed.
Awesome.
And so we'll be able to hire full-time people, which is really just, I can't stress how helpful it is to have full-time staff. So we're really excited about that. But basically what the program is we work with different daycares, Head Starts, anyone who serves kids 0 to 5 in a program. And we work with each classroom teacher. And first we ask, okay, what are the first languages of the families in your classroom? And then we go back and we put together read book bags for the kids in that class. So let's say you have 15 kids in a class, and there's a couple different languages that are spoken. We don't have, every bag doesn't have every language, but we have 3 books in every bag. There might be something, in Spanish or in Arabic. We'll have a word list book, and then we'll have another book. And they're high quality, beautiful children's books. And then the kids will get the bag on, say, Wednesday is we call it Red Bag Day. So that's the day they get to take the red bag home. And then they take the bag home, and anyone in the house can share those books for the next week. and then they bring them back probably on Tuesday. And then we go through, make sure that the books are in good shape and, there's nothing in there that shouldn't be. And then the next day, they take home a new bag with more books. So throughout a school year, kids have access to a couple hundred different books in different languages. And then we don't want to just give books to people and that's great to give books, to kids, but really we want to make sure that parents see the books as a tool, and we try to help them find ways to use those tools in their house. We try to make it as accessible as we can for parents. And knowing that, as a working mom myself, and, just knowing the challenges that all of our families face, I don't read to my kids every day. And that's okay. But what can if I don't have time to sit down and read the books with my kids, what can I do? So we do different activities with parents. So if there's a literacy event at a site, or, we just had Mother's Day. There was a Mother's Day tea at the Ibero Child Care, and, our staff were there. And just giving them different tips of ways they can share literacy through talking, singing, reading every day with their kids. We talked before about a story walk. So we've done a story walk before on the book Leaf Man. And so we put questions that parents can ask just to help them think about ways different questions they can ask their kids. And it's a different way of sharing books. I know I didn't grow up with my mom sharing books with me when I was a kid. She didn't ask me questions or, go beyond that. Here, read that book, and that was it. So we're trying to help parents make sure their kids have the best early literacy experience they can, and that they are forming the foundation of literacy. So when they get to kindergarten, they're ready to learn to read. We're not teaching anybody to learn how to read, but it's like building a house. You have to have that solid foundation.
Absolutely.
And we try to help parents build that solid foundation. We have, there's a lot of different languages spoken in Rochester. And so we have many different languages that we have books available in the Raising a Reader program. And we let parents know, read in the language, in your first language, because that's going to be more comfortable for you. It's going to be more fluent for you, and it's going to help kids with their comprehension. They'll learn the English when they get to school. But we also have wordless books because, maybe a parent isn't comfortable reading with their kids,
or just doesn't know how to read,
or they don't know how to read.
That happens too.
It happens. And I said before, I don't want to do something with my kids that I'm not comfortable with. Like if they bring their math homework to me, math is hard for me. So trying to think of all the different scenarios that could happen. We're trying to help parents in as many ways as we can, meeting them where they're at, and just like, hey, maybe this would help. And so wordless books are great because you can make up the story. It can be whatever you want it to be. And then your kids can make up the story, and then they're reading.